Hello, how goes it? We'll start Matthew chapter 27, and it is an emotional thing if you read it and you put your heart into it. And Jesus hangs himself, he betrays Jesus, and this thing begins. It's a difficult. If you've never seen the Passion of the Christ, I highly recommend it. But I'm going to move forward in this and plow forward. There's only 2 chapters left in this whole book. I'm going to finish it up. I'm going to go as far as I can with it. Hopefully, I'll get to verse 26 like I said I would. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. So, get your Bibles. Go get your Bibles. Don't be ignorant to this thing. It is going to matter to you. I promise you. I promise you there's not going to be anything more important you do in this world than to know your Creator's Word. He sent this to you personally on a mission because He loves you. He doesn't want you to be a stranger to Him whenever you make it back home to the Father from where you came. He doesn't want you to come back as a prodigal son or daughter, or soul. So let's move into this thing without further ado. Verse 27, chapter 27 and verse 1. So early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people came to the decision to put Jesus to death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. I want to make I'm going to interject this previously in the chapters we've covered. Jesus told his disciples that the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinners. He's got to go to Jerusalem and be delivered in the hands of sinners. And they would scourge him, they'd beat him, and they would ultimately murder him and kill his body. And that's what's happening right here. He was always right. He still is. Listen, this prophecy is coming with a freight train. Everything he said is happening. Men's words come and go. This word, I've tried to tear it apart. It is coming. There's no getting around it. Don't let any man deceive you, and don't deceive yourself. Give to Caesar what's Caesar's, and give to God what's God's. God wants your love. He wants your soul. He's going to have it. He's already got it. So they handed him to Pilate, the governor. Pilate was a Roman that was over the Jews at that time, set up in Jerusalem. Verse 3. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 silver coins to the chief priests and the elders of the church. That's who's doing this. Jesus said, I have sinned, he said, for I have betrayed innocent blood. The chief priest says, what is that to us? They replied, that is your responsibility. Verse 5, so Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. Well, they say he hanged himself. Some would say he had some help. I'm not going to go into that story for another time. Verse 6. The chief priests picked up the coins and said, it is against the law to put this into the treasury. Oh, the hypocrisy, the irony. Since it is blood money, well, they're the ones that paid it. They knew it was blood money when they was paying it. Was it not sin then? It's a legitimate question. So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. And they were foreigners. They was from Galilee. They was in Jerusalem for Passover. But they would bury many foreigners from there on out. Potter's Field is a place where at that time, and even now, when you make clay pots and they go bad, or they're something's wrong with them, or they're just old, you throw the clay pots into this field. Well, that field's good for nothing after that. So they make it a burial place. Anyhow, they were already cursed. Verse 8 in Matthew 27, verse 8. That is what it has been called the field of blood to this day. Then, what was spoken by Jeremiah many 1,000 years before, the prophet was fulfilled. What was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. This is what Jeremiah said. They took the 30 silver coins, the price set on him by the people of Israel. Verse 10, and they used them to buy the potter's field, as the Lord commanded me. This is all prophecy being fulfilled, all of it. Who puts prophecy out? Well, God does. Who does he put it out through? Through me and you, through his people. Verse 11. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, Pilate, and the governor asked him, are you the king of the Jews? I'm going to add this. Pilate did not like the Jews. Pilate was a Gentile. He did not like the Jews one bit. He knew they were slimy. And I'm going to add something else. And many of these men who are claiming to be Jews and of Judah are not. This is documented in Revelations. Moving forward, Jesus said, yes, it is as you say. Jesus replied, verse 12, when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. He wouldn't even speak to them. Then Pilate asked him, don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you? But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge. To the great amazement of the governor, he couldn't believe this. That what this man was setting himself up for, it blew his mind. He couldn't get his mind around it. Verse 15. Now it was the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. Barabbas was a bad guy. He was a murderer. He had tried to overthrow. I'm going to get into all that. He was a political man. He was a terrorist. He was a terrorist. Let me put it that way. That's hard for me to utter. It's hard for me to say. Verse 17. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, which one do you want me to release to you? Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ? And that cut him to the bone, because Christ is a title. It is not Jesus' last name. The word Christ means Messiah. Same thing that the children were singing, Hosanna in the highest, that the high priest and the elders rebuked Jesus for, telling him to tell them to stop saying that. Well, he wouldn't, because it would have been a lie. But Pilate thought he was doing Jesus a favor. He really thought that he had them under his thumb. He thought there's no way they were going to release Jeffrey Dahmer over a man here who has been caught for trespassing. Little did he know Satan was working hard there. Satan was working hard here. And this is Christ's destiny. Jesus is fulfilling his destiny here. Same as Polycarp. same as Martin Luther, same as other great men, great saints of God. This won't proceed from much further, friends. Believe me, it's all coming to a head. Thank you, Jesus. Verse 18. For he knew it was out of envy that they handed Jesus over to him. So Pilate knew that they was being slimy, and they handed him over to them. They was jealous of him. He was a good man. Verse 19. It's so hard. I'm just going to keep moving forward. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message. Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him. Women have a little more intuition than men in the fields department. She knew she was sent a dream. She said, Don't judge this man. There's something to him. He's different. Verse 20, but the chief priests, the preachers, the pastors, keeping this just like it is, boy, I will not change it for nobody. I'm not sugarcoating this. And the elders, the old people in the church, the old men in charge, who had their money there, their tax-free money, persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. Sure, there's good pastors out there. I'm not saying there's not. If your feelings are hurt, it's because maybe the shoe fits. If your feelings aren't hurt, then go on as you were. It's none of your business. Verse 21. Which of the two do you want me to release to you? Pilate asked the crowd. Barabbas, they answered. We want Jeffrey Dahmer released over this man here, because Dahmer would be more up their alley. Birds of a feather, they were. Verse 22. What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called Christ? Pilate asked. At this time, he's rubbing salt in the sores. He's going on with it. He's going to give them what they want. They all answered, crucify him. Crucify him. And so Pilate said, why? What crime has he committed? But they shouted all the louder, crucify him. Verse 24, when Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, they put their propaganda out. Lucifer was moving through the crowd. People wanted to see blood. So he took water, Pilate did, and he washed his hands in front of the crowd, and he said, I am innocent of this man's blood. I am innocent. I want no part of this. You are wrong in what you're doing. He said, it is your responsibility. And all the people answered, let his blood be on us and our children. Well, they got what they wanted. There was a Holocaust with a man named Adolf Hitler. And there was many other things that has happened to the Jews since this time. They're surrounded right now. When Christ hit that cross, when he met that cross, they're no longer God's chosen people. He does not favor them over anyone else, not over the Gentiles, not over the Caucasians, not over the Chinese, the Asians, not over Africans, over no one. They're all the same, and they hate it. Boy, they hate that. They're not special no more. They gave that up. They forfeited that. God knew they would. I'm going to finish up right here. Then he, Pilate, released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. So he flogged him. And what was actually said, and I'm going to go a little deeper into this because I know my Father's word, what they used on Pilate, they said, he's saying he's a king. He admitted it to you. And if he said this thing, you are no friend of Caesar's. They was going to throw Pilate under the bus. And they did have him. They had Pilate. That got him. So I'm 15 minutes and 40 seconds in here. May God bless, touch, open eyes, hearts, ears. Let them care, Father. Let them care. There's going to be nothing more important. I pray for anyone who cares and who's watching. And if they think they don't care, let them see that they do. If they have asked for you to reveal yourself to them, let them see. In Christ's name, always. Always. Let's end this stream. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, please. Please. Pretty please with sugar on top.